This is a recorded Golden Valley Speaks presentation for the regular Golden Valley Planning Commission meeting of October 24th, 2022. Agenda item number 4 is consideration of a PUD amendment to the McDonald's PUD number 58, located at 730 Winnetka Avenue North. The request is to amend the existing PUD to allow for a second queuing and ordering lane for vehicles using the existing drive-through. Other aspects of the proposed plans include significant updates to the building's facades, new pedestrian infrastructure, and additions to the current landscaping. The site is located on the east side of Winnetka Avenue, just north of City Hall and the Civic Campus. McDonald's is within a block of the major intersection of Winnetka and Golden Valley Road, and just south of the Golden Valley branch of the Hennepin County Library, as well as Bassett Creek. The PUD was created in 1990 to allow a previous McDonald's to be rebuilt as other redevelopment was taking place in the area. As part of the approvals, site access to and from Winnetka was controlled to manage traffic on the county road. Land was acquired for the public sidewalk along the Civic Campus to the east, and the landscaping plan was coordinated with the new plantings being installed along Winnetka. The site plan included one drive-through lane and one pass-through lane around the building. 89 parking spaces were approved compared to the 142 that would have otherwise been required. The focus at this location on the drive-through service was part of the justification for the reduction in parking. A 2005 amendment, which would have allowed a second drive-through lane, was withdrawn. The property is 1.37 acres and is zoned commercial. The one-story building is 5,692 square feet in size, and there is 82.2% impervious coverage on the lot. Over time, a handful of trees have been removed and not replaced. The building has the traditional McDonald's design with a red double-sloped mansard roof. At peak time, over the lunch hour, queuing vehicles can back up onto Winnetka. The proposal by McDonald's is to replace the building facades with a more modern style that is being rolled out across the country. The single drive-through lane would be modified to the south of the building and add a second queuing lane with new menu boards and ordering stations. 3 pedestrian routes would be improved or created. From the north corner of the building to Winnetka, from the east across the drive-through lane and around the north side of the building, from the south corner of the building to the city parking lot near the water tower. 3 parking spaces would be lost as a result of these improvements, reducing the number from 84 to 81. Finally, new trees would be added to restore the approved landscaping plan. Staff reviewed various aspects of the proposal. In terms of land use and zoning, the rear setback of the building is non-conforming, or less than would otherwise be allowed. But this condition is existing and was approved at the initial PUD. The building height would increase slightly to 18 feet, but this is well below the maximum allowed of 36 feet. The location of the parking lot within the front yard setback is also non-conforming. But like the rear setback, it is existing and was approved with the initial PUD. The loss of 3 parking spaces to accommodate the new pedestrian connections is viewed as acceptable for this location, given the focus on drive-through visits. The existing parking lot is rarely, if ever, full. One building elevation, the north, is just shy of the required amount of Class 1 materials, which are defined in code, but generally are higher quality materials such as glass, brick, stone, etc. The shortfall is minor, just 0.5% of the total required. 3 of the elevations are short of the amount of glazing typically required, but this is primarily a result of the layout of the existing building, which does not include many windows on the south portion, which contains the freezer, cooler, and other support areas. It is not reasonable to expect the building to be redesigned as part of this remodel. The addition of the second queuing lane would help remove vehicles from Winnetka over the lunch hour. This would be an improvement in terms of site safety. While an area of turf would need to be removed to create the second lane, an even greater amount of pervious coverage would be added elsewhere in the site and improve the overall conditions. The pedestrian improvements proposed would help provide safer access to the public sidewalks along Winnetka, on the Civic Campus to the east, and to the parking lot near the water tower to the south. An existing bicycle rack would need to be relocated in order to create a new pedestrian connection to the front door. A rack accommodating at least 8 bicycles would need to be retained on site. New building signage as well as drive-through signage is planned. While sign permits are not needed for menu boards or directional signs, permits will be needed to be pulled for all other signage. 16 new trees would be added to the site, primarily along the north and south property lines. 5 trees proposed along Winnetka would actually be located within the city right-of-way, so coordination with public works staff would be required. Engineering staff reviewed the proposal and noted a handful of modifications or additional pieces of information that would be needed as the project moved forward. Fire staff reviewed the proposal and had no comments or concerns. Groundbreaking is anticipated for March of 2023 with completion expected in May. PUDs and PUD amendments are subject to certain findings that must be made in order to grant approval. In general, staff finds that the elements of the proposal would result in a better overall development by removing queued vehicles from travel lanes on Winnetka, improving pedestrian connections to the site, restoring the approved landscaping, and enhancing the appearance of the building. Therefore, staff is recommending approval of Amendment Number 2 to the McDonald's Corporation PUD Number 58, subject to 5 conditions. Compliance with the city's inflow and infiltration requirements must be achieved, or a security deposit obtained to cover any necessary repairs prior to the issuance of a building permit. 2. The building elevations from Reprise Architecture submitted on June 23rd and the civil plans from Landform submitted on September 23rd shall become part of this approval. 3 new pedestrian connections from adjacent rights-of-way or city-owned properties, as shown in the civil plans, shall be provided as benefits to help offset the proposed auto-oriented improvements of the drive-through. A tree and landscaping permit shall be required in order to assure coordination with city staff as trees are replaced, including those proposed for the city right-of-way. A rack providing a minimum of 8 bicycle spaces available for use by the public shall be retained on site. Anyone interested in asking a question or providing public comment on this request can do so by filling out the online form at the bottom of this page or by calling the phone number listed and leaving a voicemail. All comments that are consistent with the comment policy will be shared with the Planning Commission in advance of the live public hearing.